Hey, what's up? It's Comic95 the Savior, and for this video, I'm gonna basically be just ranting to you guys about something that I found really ironic and disturbing and just so stupid. And honestly, I made a video kind of talking about this indirectly, but I felt that it was worthy of addressing it a little bit deeper, because the person that I was making a video about, that I didn't clearly say their name, I was just giving scenarios in which people put themselves in bad situations by marrying pookies, marrying guys that, they like, because in this situation, a little bit different from Kevin Samuels type talk, but pookies in the sense of you basically like the fact that this guy is Japanese, and or you found someone who has similar hobbies as you, but you didn't think any further than that. And this is why I said this whole, marry someone you love type thing. Yes, that is important too, but people keep forgetting about the fact that you do need finances. Marriage is expensive. Children are expensive, and you cannot afford to marry someone that doesn't have their stuff together. It's important to understand their finances. You need to know about their savings account, their job, how do they manage their money right now, not what your plans are for the future. And a lot of women fail to do that. Let me adjust my computer a little bit lower. Okay, that's better. Yeah, a lot of women fail to do that, and then I feel really bad because then oftentimes children are involved, and now you're struggling, you don't know what you're gonna do, about just everything, paying for food for your child, paying for clothes, paying for their tuition, etc. So this is the part that got me. I'm not going to give any details about this person because y'all going to figure out who I'm talking about. And I'll let you do that on your own. I'm just not here to personally send anyone to attack this person. It's not my goal. Because I also want to add another thing too. This is not a, I ain't on nobody's side. I talk about what is true and I call out things that I think are BS. But I don't think I've probably ever made a video defending a white guy on my channel. But in this case, I'm going to, okay? Sorry, that was my chair. This woman had literally just, was, oh God, it's so hard. Okay, let me find a way to, not get too direct. Basically, in a nutshell, this person expressed that they were having difficulty in their marriage with finances. And they were complaining about how their partner, basically, was mismanaging their money, and it was causing stress on her end. And basically a matter of distrust, that she was basically being left to take care of their child. And for some reason, she felt the need to share that publicly, which I thought was really stupid to do inside of a group of people that are really judgmental. But that's another story. Then get this. She moves over, this is weeks later, maybe a month later. I think it was just a couple of weeks later, if even that. And another person, this time a man, makes a post talking about their difficulty with their Japanese wife, which FYI, if you're a man listening to this, oh my God. Yes, women go through problems here too, but there seems to be an overwhelming amount of white men in particular going through these messed up divorces here. And so black men take warning too, but then again, I guess y'all don't care too much because y'all don't take care of y'all kids in the US, but that's another story. So back on subject. Look, like I said, I ain't on nobody's side. Okay, I speak the truth. that is true. I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm just being real with you. I can't think of a single case of a black man complaining about losing contact with his kids. Does anybody know any stories like that? I just noticed that. Oh my God. But okay, I ain't finna talk now. I'm sorry for getting it, y'all. Excuse me. But anyway, this is my point. This is not to pretend like my life is perfect. That is not what I'm trying to say to you. So don't hear me, wrong on this. Rather, I'm saying quite the opposite. Life it should have already humbled you, because you just admitted to having a shitty ass marital situation because honestly, you chose poorly. How did you not know that your husband was bad with his finances prior to, getting married? How did you not know that your husband was going to think it's your job to raise your children? And now you want internet sympathy. I do feel sorry for you that you were too stupid to choose, wisely. And even more importantly, that you didn't have family members to help you make that decision and to help you out in your situation. That I do feel sorry for. But then I lost every ounce of pity for you when you took a man in a similar situation to you. But see, the difference is, unlike you, he's actually trying to figure out how to get a divorce and keep custody of his kids. You just want to vent online, and you plan to stay married to your little dusty, pookie. So who's the real idiot here? If you ask me, I say it's you. She wasn't calling nobody an idiot. And my problem was, her and this other girl, I'm not going to say where people are from or anything else. Like I said, you could be nosy to your own research. Her and this other girl, and this other girl too, both of them tend to leave comments a lot on stuff. See, I look at stuff and I read. I don't put in my 2 cents, especially when I know I have nothing nice to say. I'll just, if I see a comment that I like every once in a while, I might, give it a little like or whatever. But I normally just lurk. I just look inside of forums. I just read groups. I normally leave stuff alone. If I feel, the need to talk about something, I do it in my own space. I make a video talking about it, and I keep it vague. I summarize it so that this way I'm not giving anyone's name. I'm, keeping it private. And really my purpose in it isn't just to, talk badly about people, even though it might seem like it to some of my haters on my channel that, still watch my content. But rather, I like using these situations as lessons for other people and really just to start a conversation, something that I thought interesting that happened, and everybody might have had a differing opinion, and I wanted to give my own take and opinion on it. So anyway, long story short, he was having a hard time figuring out what to do, and basically felt that, his wife was being unreasonable, and that, things just start to, fall apart. And the other difficulty is that this is another huge mistake. FYI men, please listen up. This tends to happen to you guys a lot. The kids were basically being isolated from him. There was a lot more too, but I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on this. You can look into it yourself. I'm not going to give you any further information. Don't ask me where it came from. I'm not going to tell you. You can figure it out on your own. That's that. And if you leave a comment saying it where it came from, I will also remove that too. Just telling you in advance, because that's not the purpose in this channel. I am not here to dog people out and to go in on people. I'm simply talking about the hypocrisy of the situation. So long story short, he was talking about how, he was afraid that his wife was going to steal the business, take all their money basically, and how the children were already isolated from him because they don't speak English. They tried to have, a bilingual household, and his wife, basically, I'm assuming she wasn't very strong in English, she got tired of it, which again, this should have been a red flag, and she wanted to make it where it was Japanese at home and at school. Huge mistake. And because of this, he felt that it was going to be really complicated to get a divorce and, keep custody or stay in contact with his kids. And I feel sorry for him, to be honest. I really feel sorry for him. I don't know how he feels towards foreign women. I don't know how he feels towards black people. It's not my problem. It's not the purpose of the video. I'm just saying for a situation, judging based off of what he said, and as a fellow foreigner here, I felt that since we're all here together, we're all, in this forum, in this group, whatever, we should be supportive of each other. Nope. I was surprised. I saw several comments, mostly from women. Maybe that's the reason why. They were questioning, whether he was really being a good husband because they felt that he was being lazy by being in Japan for, 20, 30 plus years, not knowing Japanese. And yes, I understand what you're trying to say, but that's irrelevant to the conversation at hand. Not to mention, most of you that are even saying this, are you completely fluent in Japanese? And you've been living here for, 5, 10 plus years yourself. In fact, I'll be honest, even for myself, I should be fully fluent at, to be honest with you, we use these certificates to tell how far in advance you are, but being at a JLPT N1 level is not native fluent in Japanese. It also is not an adult level of Japanese. It literally just means that you know enough Japanese where you could survive in Japan. You cannot read and write at an adult level by passing the JLPT N1. It doesn't allow you to function like how you should as a normal adult. It's enough for doing business. It's enough to go to school in Japan, but it is not enough. Even going to school, you will come across tons of things that you don't know. Not just one-off things, but I mean like just general stuff. You will not learn how to read and write from that. And a lot of people don't understand that. And this is another conversation, but I said this before. A JLPT certificate isn't even needed to work in Japan. Almost no company will ask for it. Even the ones that want Japanese proficiency and say N1, N2, whatever level, they don't actually want the certificate. They just want you to be able to speak and or read at that level. You're not going to be asked to read and write, and you're normally not going to be asked to even present that certificate. So save your money, save your time, actually learn Japanese. Don't worry about studying the specific course, a specific book. It helps give you a nice outline for what you should be studying though. So that's another story. I'll make another video about that later on. I've kind of talked about this briefly in other videos, but I just want to highlight that. And so I'm thinking to myself, how hypocritical. Not to mention, you were literally just bitching about your husband and finances, and it's like, ma'am, I'm sorry to break it to you, but you knew you married a loser when you were pregnant and still had to go to work. You knew you married a loser when you had to put your child in daycare at 3 to 6 months, months old. I said it there. So I'm thinking like, okay, so by your own, judgment or whatever, and trying to side with the wife who you haven't met, and I'm sorry, I don't care how lazy you think he is about, with studying Japanese or assimilating to the culture or caring about his wife's needs, whatever the case happens to be, you don't know the whole story. Why say such an ignorant thing like that? He's clearly stressed out, clearly going through something, and let's keep it real. Both of these girls have been here in Japan for a long time. I think they're both older than me too. At least the, I almost said who she was. The one girl with the marital situation, I believe she's older than me. I don't know about the other girl. We might be the same age. She might be older than me. I have no idea. But anyway, they're both from English speaking countries. And it just blew my mind. I was thinking, like, how can you judge when you're literally going through the same shit? And then for this other girl, I'm thinking, like, okay, to my understanding, she's not even married. So it's really easy to talk shit and say what you think people should do, should have done, etc. in their marriage to have saved it when you're not married. But in a situation like this, he's not saying that, like, he neglected his wife or whatever. He's saying that, for whatever reason, he found studying, which a lot of you all do, because most foreigners in Japan don't speak a lick of Japanese. I would not consider myself to be fully fluent in Japanese. I know enough to get by and survive here on my own. I did it for years prior to getting married, but I'm gonna keep it real with you. I should know more than I do. However, I also recognize I know a lot more than most foreigners living here do. And with that said, for the same people that are liking these comments and laughing at his situation, I'm like, you also don't know Japanese and you've been here for years. So you think you're better because you don't have a Japanese wife? Is that what changes it?
Okay, let me add one more thing to this. I made a video about this already. I might have actually made a few of them, but again, I have not gotten around to editing these videos yet. I literally have over 1,000 that have not been edited at this point. I'm not even exaggerating. However, since it has not been published yet, let me just explain this. One of the biggest, fallacious, stupid, annoying arguments that I see being made online, and I see people trying to humble brag on themselves in my comment section every once in a while about this too, is the idea that them knowing Japanese is supposed to save their marriage. And don't get me wrong, I understand the concept of it, and while I do believe you should learn it if you're going to be married to a Japanese person, I think that the bigger issue is actually that your spouse needs to learn English or whatever your native language is. And people seem to forget about that side of it. Like the Japanese get a pass. And the biggest excuse is, of course, you're in Japan, right? So you should learn their language. Makes sense to me, right? But you're forgetting they're married to a foreigner. So they should be doing, studying of your language for the purpose of being married to you. Their inability and, lack of desire to want to study it really shows that your marriage is problematic. I don't care how much you love your wife and how much, she loves you allegedly. She can't love you too much if she's not willing to become fluent in your language. Like literally zero effort, bare minimum. I get it as a foreigner, it looks cool. You have bragging rights because you're bilingual and the in-laws love you because you speak Japanese. I mean, sure, that's nice, but like I said, that really doesn't sound like the brag that you guys think it is. like to me, it's like this. This is a horrible example, but I just think of it like the women that brag about how, oh, at least he comes back home to me type thing. Like that's what that sounds like to me. Like at least he comes home at night. Well, at least like I can't explain it very well, but it just sounds stupid to me. Again, I get the concept of it, but your partner is married to you, not the world, not the country. And a part of being married to a foreigner means that you should be putting in the effort and work to not only learn what their native language is, because see, many of them get a pass with that too. I cannot tell you how many times I've met Japanese people that are married to a foreigner who's from Europe, and their native language is like Italian or French or German, etc. And sure, they speak English, so that's the common language. But to me, that's lazy. You're refusing to learn their language. And don't get me wrong, fine, they might be okay with you teaching them a few phrases, but they never become fluent. Now, interesting, the Japanese get a pass for doing that, but you as a foreigner, you do not. And so now, because you're not fluent in Japanese, every single marital problem, any reason that caused you to get a divorce, somehow gets wrapped back around to being your fault because you didn't speak Japanese fluently. And again, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I made a video on this topic already that I haven't edited yet, but I just have to say that here too. Can we please stop doing that as foreigners? That is the most ridiculous, extremely Japanese sounding shit that I keep seeing foreigners do. In fact, I don't know what I see worse: foreigners blaming people's divorces on their lack of Japanese ability, or foreigners joining in with the Japanese, just like how they do it with that situation too, and pretending like every problem that exists in Japan is essentially foreigners, specifically the Chinese, and then secondly Americans. So what I find even funnier as an American, I see other Americans chiming in and joining with, bashing the Chinese. And then when they see an American doing something, they want mercy and they want people to not see it as it being all Americans. The reality is, most of the people that you're seeing do shit wrong, one, are more than likely not an American, and two, aren't even Chinese, but rather Japanese, European, whatever other specific, I'm speaking bluntly here. I'm not going to pretend like I can tell a little bit, but I don't really give a shit about telling what type of white you are. I don't give a fuck. Just like y'all don't give a fuck about what type of African you are, okay? We're just gonna be blunt here. The reality is, if you're the same race, you have characteristics, features, traits, etc., that make you look the same. You're literally the same race. Even Asians can't tell themselves apart. They have stereotypical ways to do it, and I know those. So shut up and don't try to school me. But I mean specifically region wise. For example, if you're looking at a bunch of East Asians, have them all wear the same outfit and get a bunch of people with the same, same shaped face, same, eyes, everything. And you would not be able to tell the difference. Not all Japanese people have big eyes. Not all of them have ovular shaped heads, etc. Contrary to what they want you to believe, I've watched the videos, I've seen the little racist drawings, which I guess is technically not racist. I think an Asian person actually made that. I don't know. Describe what they look like. I actually had a guy on a date a long time ago who actually showed me a drawing of different type of Asian faces, which I thought was really funny because I was like, I actually saw a similar thing on YouTube, but it was different. His, I guess, was like a Japanese version of it, explaining the different type of Japanese faces. Long story short, we'll talk about that another day. But my point is this: you're constantly seeing them blame the problem with being, oh, Chinese, oh, whatever. It's like, no, I see Japanese people talk on the phone way more than I do foreigners on the train. Also see them talking loudly way more than I do foreigners on the train. And unlike that foreigner, they're not on vacation and they also know the rules. Okay? But again, we don't give that grace and mercy to them. And so when I see people doing that same, that this is Japan stupid thing that like the Japanese do, or the whole, oh, well, you should speak Japanese bullshit excuse, which is basically a fallacious argument. It's a way of making it where no matter what you say, no matter how wrong you were done, you can always fall back on that. This is Japan. This is Japan. No, that's called a fallacious argument. That's irrelevant to the problem at hand. Your wife being a bitch has nothing to do with this being Japan. Your wife being a whore has nothing to do with this being Japan. Your wife cheating on you, stealing from you, all of those things, anything that you could think of. No, the problem is her. It's a her issue. It is not a matter of you not knowing the language and the culture. What the fuck does that do with culture? Do y'all hear yourselves? I swear, it's like, it's so many. I'm sorry, I gotta get on white people for a second. It's so many white weebs that I see here on YouTube. They just be like saying shit in my comment section. Oh, the culture, the culture, the culture, the culture. Bitch, y'all need, what the fuck is culture? Do you know what that even means? Because I swear, y'all, I made a video talking about my foreign friends, okay, being jealous of my relationship. And I had this person in my comment section telling me that I don't understand Japanese culture and that that's normal. You do realize that Japanese women don't talk to each other like that? And actually, if you read my comments, I actually praised the Japanese, if I recall, if not in my comment section, I did in the video, about how they actually don't do that. In fact, they're more supportive of you, even if they are secretly jealous. They will openly talk about how they're jealous of you, wish they were you, and how happy they are for you. But see, you're too busy being a weeb or jumping to conclusions, you didn't get that part. I was actually not only just referring to foreigners, but specifically black women. But that's another story. So anyway, back on subject. Yes, like that's a a quick scapegoat. Just say, okay, I know what happened to you is shitty, but this is Japan. When I made my video about my experience going to my basket, nobody had anything to say in response to that because they knew that what happened was racist and was indeed wrong. So instead, I had this Jamaican bitch making up this whole white apologist story about white erasure. Then they admit in their comment that they're half Jamaican. And I'm like, so you're literally a part of the problem. You are a part of white erasure. Do you? I can't, you all. Anyway, that video is going to come out later. Y'all going to drag my ass after I release that. But look, that's why I don't be trying to attack Jamaicans. Y'all be coming for me, so I'm going to respond finally. Because y'all been asking me to. But anyways, like I hate that. I hate that. It's like, do y'all not realize how dumb that sounds? Again, all y'all gotta do is go to college for 1 year, take what is it, English 101, English 102, learn about fallacious arguments. The idea that your marriage fell apart because you don't speak Japanese is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Okay? If anything, shouldn't it be that they don't speak English? They also equally decided to marry you. Okay? And if they're your spouse, they should love you enough to bother to learn your language. You are making the biggest sacrifice, as I said before, by moving to their country. Sure, granted, you chose to live there and they just happened to meet you. Right, but they also chose to date you and marry you. They could have said no, but they didn't. It takes teamwork. Both of you have to work on studying each other's culture and language. So sorry, the bullshit excuse of, well, you should have learned Japanese. And let's stop playing games. Clearly, this woman had a plot all along. She wanted to have him isolated in the household by ensuring that the children knew how to speak Japanese, while he continued to only speak English. That's the truth of what happened. Can we stop this super protective, every time the Japanese do something wrong, we have to blame it on ourselves mentality? And I was very disappointed because, look, I'll disclose this much of it. The person who made this comment was a black person. And so I'm thinking, like, you should know better than anybody. What does this comment sound like? Come on. And so it's like it reminds me of the same garbage like you hear in the U.S. As a black person, if you say anything about how the police unfairly take the lives of black people, you get told, "Oh, you're playing the race card." And again, don't get me wrong. Yes, fine. If you want to overly simplify it, don't break the law. You won't have a problem. But anybody that's black knows that's not the case. I have literally had at least what 3 or 4 run-ins with the police before I even 18? It was before I was 21 because I wasn't in the US when I turned 21, but before, I was 18 if I recall. They literally came into my house, guns out and all, because the front door was open. There was no crime. And so again, now granted, look, I'm alive. I ain't get shot at, whatever. Look, I ain't no Tupac. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, I didn't break a law. Last time I checked, it's not illegal to have your door open. I put a Christmas gift on, my mom's friend's house door. I have the right to go to somebody's door in the daytime, ring the doorbell. I wasn't looking through windows and doing weird shit. I literally just walked up to her door. Nosy ass white woman. What are you doing here? Bitch, I thought she was about to pull out a gun or some shit. So anyway, long story short. I just hate seeing that little stupid argument where it's like, oh, if you just weren't doing whatever. No, just accept the fact that a lot of you all are racist and the police are generally, well, crooked. You are more likely to come across a crooked cop, in my opinion, than a good one. And at best, a neutral one. But it's not every day that you come across a friendly, good, well-meaning, whatever police. I mean, look, I'm gonna keep it real. It's a hard job that nobody wants to do, but at the same time, I feel like the job needs to pay more, and they need people to require an actual education in order for you to work such a job. Because the type of people that sign up for that, yeah. Anyway, have a few cop friends. Shut up. I'm not gonna hear all Blue Lives Matter bitches, but back on subject. My point in comparing that was, it reminds me of that sort of conversation. So I'm just shocked that a black person would have the audacity to try to, how can I put it? Simplify, scapegoat, ignore the problem at hand. I get it, you're a woman and you might feel defensive for that reason, but then again, I kind of don't. Because, for example, like I know there's gonna be people that are gonna be mad about this video, other videos I've made, etc. And it's like, not just this topic, but I'm specifically talking about black people. Black men get offended when you talk about issues of black men, and it's like, hit dogs holler. If you aren't a Dusty, then don't get offended when Dusties are talked about. Guess what? I'm not a baby mama. I don't get in my feelings when they get talked about. But you want to know what? I can also be honest and acknowledge the two different sides of the problem. The problem is we have men that don't lead, and the problem with black women is they do not understand, how to. How can I put it? I can't think of the words. I said a D. The discretion? I can't think of it, but you know what I mean. They can. I think discretion is the word I'm looking for. They don't know how to choose men. There's also a garbage bag to choose from. But even then, okay, if there is, and maybe don't create babies with that garbage bag. Go elsewhere. Look, Asian women are doing it, and they're not even choosing men out of a garbage bag. They just realize, why should I choose you? Look, I ain't finna go there. We're finna stir the pot today, but I'm just saying, why would I choose you when they view white people being superior, right? Well, you can have a taller, just as well off financially guy, more outgoing, everything you want, basically based on their own standards. I'm just telling you how they feel. Why not? And fuck my opinion, fuck what, I heard. Look at them. I think that, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, being in the US, I could probably count on one hand the amount of Asians that I know that are married to another Asian. But that's another story. We're not gonna talk about that. And let me also specifically say, if we're talking about, second, third generation, I don't think I can name one person. So, but anyway, that's another story. We're not gonna get on that. I'm just saying, I'm keeping it real. So all I have to say is this. Can we please stick together on this? Can we stop pretending like, the problem is your lack of Japanese ability to try to erase their issues? I don't care if you don't speak anything. I don't know. I don't care if you don't know how to say hi and thank you in Japanese. That is not the issue. Listen to what the person said. Yes, I agree. You've been living in Japan for 30 years? Damn, my nigga, like, you can't speak anything? Like, I ain't here to judge. I'm just saying, sure, fine, if we're gonna talk about that. But that wasn't the purpose of what he was saying. He was trying to describe his problem. And this is the type of stuff that pisses me off. I gotta say this too. I'll make another video on this topic. I said that about everything that I forget, but I promise I'm gonna try remind me. I cannot stand it when I see people do stuff like this, because it discourages people from telling and sharing their stories in the future, and then it causes more people to make the same mistake because nobody's willing to be honest and bold and talk about what happened. In fact, I'll tell you a very embarrassing story, and then I'll save the rest for when I make that video. But in fact, maybe I shouldn't. I'll just briefly talk about it. When I had my housing problems, I'll share my story in that video again. I didn't have any content to go to. There was nobody's video I can watch. In fact, I found one blog post, but even in that blog post, either they lied or they still couldn't really relate to me because basically they had the money to handle their situation. I, on the other hand, did not. I had problems that I know other people had, but I didn't know of anyone who had them. I didn't know how to navigate these situations. It was hard for me and I struggled. And it's not because I'm the only first or last person. It's because the people going through this stuff, they're too afraid to speak up because look at how judgmental and dick-like and asshole-like you all act. Somebody's telling you they're about to, lose custody of their kids. They're going through a divorce and, they can't communicate with their kids and their wife's turning them against them, blah. And let's say that the man is complete full of shit and he's lying and he deserves everything. Okay, well, y'all love the saying, believe women, believe black women, whatever. Okay, why can't we have that same mentality dealing with foreigners? We're all a family here. We don't act like it, but then again, maybe we kind of do. So we all hate each other and nitpick and try to compare each other and whatnot, but I don't understand that. I don't know about you, but if a foreigner tells me some shit, I'm going to try to, I won't necessarily fully believe everything you say out of your damn mouth, but I'm going to try to be supportive and be on your side. I'm not going to assume that you're lying. You all immediately jump to conclusions and assume that the Japanese can never do any wrong. The foreigner must be wrong. But, it's just so crazy how you all act. And the Japanese would never do that for your ass. And that's what I don't understand. Why is there this undying love and loyalty for a country that does not do the same for you? I love Japan, but I also have enough brains to realize I ain't capping for you when you wouldn't do that shit for me. Not to mention, forget about my love for the country, whether they do the same for me or not. I'm just a fair person. If I realize something is wrong, I'm not going to do it. I'm not dumb enough to believe that every time I see an Asian person doing something wrong, nasty, dirty, it's a Chinese person. And you're an idiot if you believe that. I don't know how, especially as an American, y'all dummies have convinced yourselves that every time somebody doing, something wrong, oh, it must be a foreigner. No, that's not the case. Now, granted, fine, stereotypically, do you see foreigners do stuff that's wrong? Of course. Innocently, most of the time, they don't know any better. And again, even if you do know better, okay, well, at least it's not their country. What's the excuse for people that live here and choose to do wrong? Nobody wants to have that conversation, right? So anyway, that's for a whole nother video. I want to stay on topic with this. Let's listen to what people have to say and stop trying to find ways. Sorry, guys, my phone. And stop trying to find ways to make them wrong. Trying to find ways to, I don't know, twist the narrative, change the story, and make it somehow the foreigner's fault in every scenario for why they're getting a divorce or whatever other bad thing might be happening to them. And sure, don't get me wrong, I believe that in most situations it takes two, but not in all of them. Not to mention, look, I don't care what that man did. If what he's saying is the truth, which this is his story, so let's just take it for what it is and believe that he's telling the truth. Isn't she the one in the wrong? Yes, you're right. He should have learned how to speak Japanese. He had 30 years. But also, isn't she the one in the wrong for trying to stop the kids from learning English? Not to mention, isn't she in the wrong for not bothering to, I guess she did speak English to a certain degree. She might be completely fluent. But let's assume that she's not. Isn't it also her fault for not learning English and maintaining English in the household so that the kids can speak both and be able to properly talk to both parents? And I don't think it was 30 years. What was it, 20 years, 15 years, however long he'd been there. I don't care if he was there for 5 years. Why is there no blame being put on his wife? Do y'all not hear yourselves? And again, we're talking about, a straight man with a straight woman. This goes for if you are a woman married to a Japanese man too. I'm just going based off of the story that I have at hand. This is not a made up scenario, such as I'm specifically getting on, women talking about men. Not to mention, you curse yourself. Watch how you talk about other people's relationships. You don't know the whole story. And again, it takes a lot of balls and bravery to even get online, show your face, tell your story. And even if you don't show your face, just to tell your story. And look at how people treat you when you do it. They instantly make you regret that you ever chose to do so. And the problem is, like I said, because people act that way, now there's tons of stories we will never hear because other people are going to look at that and be like, well, actually, I want to help with my problem, but look at how they treated that guy. I'm going to keep my mouth closed. Look, I'll be honest with you right now. There are stories that I will never share on here, ever. Because I see how people act with the few things that I have shared, and I'm like, even I got my limits. I ain't telling y'all that shit. And so if I feel that way, I know there's thousands of others that feel the exact same way that I do. Like I said, the people here that are living both the best lives and the worst lives, they will never make a video about it. They will never write a blog post about it. You see these people on a daily basis. Spend some time hanging out in Minatoku. And the amount of rich ass black people that I see, the Blasians that I see there. And I'm like, why don't you have a YouTube channel? I'd be getting pissed off. But I have to remind myself, why does my dumb ass have one? And so just because you're willing to talk on camera and you want the, publicity and the fame and the money, other people don't want that. They're living their lives privately, off camera. Taught some beautiful biracial children. And guess what? Their parents don't want to post them online. You may choose to do that with yours. But these other people, they don't have, Facebook pages and, YouTube channels and TikToks. You can do that if you want to. And you might be jealous and mad and feel like you would if you were in their position. But not everybody's you. And my point in this is, just as there's people living wonderful lives that you might see in real life in Japan, whether it's from you working here or just, strolling around and living in the neighborhood, you also do see and don't see a lot of the bad and dark underside of Japan that you are not going to see posted about on Reddit, that you're not going to see posted about inside these Facebook gaijin groups or here on YouTube. And you all scare these people from ever sharing these stories, wanting to share their life, because they see how you treat those that do. I mean, who would want to? I don't blame them. So anyway, like I said, oversimplifying. And then my very last thing, besides oversimplifying the situation by saying, oh, you need to learn to speak Japanese. No, she needs to not be a bitch and learn how to be a fair wife and not get the kids involved. And again, assuming he's telling the truth. I do believe it takes two in most circumstances. He likely did things to cause this as well. But her reaction is still not right. And that's all that really matters at this point. But anyway, this is the thing that got me the most with that. And I was just thinking about it while I was, recording this. Did we just forget what country we're in? It is not as simple as just live in Japan and speak Japanese. You have to go out of your way to ever do that because most people want to use English with you. And even the people that are talking to you in Japanese, they're going to speak very simplified, dumbed down Japanese. And when they realize that you don't understand, they're going to resort to Google Translate, English, or gestures. And when they do speak to you in Japanese, they will oftentimes use very simple, dumb Japanese, as I refer to it, which means you're not going to really be learning shit besides knowing how to say that you have a point card and asking for a bag and you want your food heated up. That's all I knew for the longest. You want to know how you learn more? By honestly dating, dating, making friends, joining groups, meetups, Tinder, all those different type of apps. Those are what will really help you. However, when you're married, 90% of that goes out the window. And I don't know how long you lived here prior to getting married. It ain't none of my damn business. But I do want to say this, forget about even being married even while you're single. If everybody is always trying to talk to you in English, never give you the opportunity, because again, in Japan, you don't just make friends by walking down the street and say, hey, I like your shirt, whatever. Everything's isolated here. How the fuck are you supposed to learn how to speak Japanese? Can you please get the fuck out of here? We're trying to pretend like the problem is him, that he doesn't know how. Now, sure, like I said, I get it, but even for myself, I can't fully relate because I got to experience being in Japan for years without having to work a full-time job. I was a student. I got to relax and have fun and date and go to parties and go to clubs and bars. I got to do things that you will not get to do if you're coming here on a work visa directly. Not that you can't have fun and do parties, etc., but you don't have the time that I did. I could learn things that you couldn't because I had the time and I might even have the money that you lacked. When I was a college student, I was getting $15 per every 3 months in addition to the money that I was making from working part time. Okay? You might not have my situation. And I'm talking USD, not yen. With that said, everybody doesn't have time, everybody doesn't have money. And if your job is in English, which most of your jobs will be, even if you can speak Japanese, guess what? That also further complicates and delays your ability to learn. Japanese people cannot relate because they grow up their whole lives being surrounded by American, specifically, not just English, American media. Whether it be, the TV shows, the music, the movies, even their products and store names are written in English commonly. It's everywhere, inescapable. And they have the upper hand and advantage because they also typically learn some English phonics as well as the English alphabet, Romanji, whatever. So they can read and write it even if they don't understand what they're saying. You, on the other hand, as a foreigner, you don't learn hiragana, katakana, and kanji. You don't know these things. You have to learn everything. You have to retrain your brain and unlearn the phonics that you learned in the US, learn their phonetic pronunciations, and it's just so much shit to it that they cannot relate to. So even when you meet them and they're like, oh, I self-taught myself, I went to America for 3 months or I did a study abroad. No, they've been studying since they were damn near babies. And they got some reinforcement for a year or for a few months, etc., which pushed them over the edge. That is the one thing that the Japanese do lie about. They downplay how long they really spent studying English. But I will give them props when they do study, like my husband. They will spend the entire weekend, 10 hours a day, just non-stop studying, only taking breaks to piss, poop, eat, and take a nap, not even sleep. I will give them props. They do study. Like I'm just gonna keep it real. Stereotypical Asian style, okay? Like they do that shit, and they make Americans look dumb as fuck. Because when I saw my husband study, I'm like, damn, this is the reason why I can't pass the JLPTN one. Because when I saw the way that he was studying, I'm like, shit, like he's constantly saying the words over and over again, reading the same page over and over again, listening to the same tape over and over again. It's like, man, this is how y'all study. Okay, okay. But anyway, back on subject. If you think about it that way, how are you supposed to learn? Because if nobody speaks to you, your job doesn't allow you to use it, you're not working using Japanese, it's damn near impossible to make friends here that aren't foreigners because even when you do talk to them, they just want to use you for English lessons, use you for sex, or they rarely want to hang out with you. They come to the US where we're inviting them somewhere every day practically, and we talk to them on a regular basis. We invite them to meet our friends and family. We only speak English. Everything's only written in English, and sure, you got some Spanish on the back of some products, but you get what I'm trying to say. There's no option. I went to the DMV the other day and I was surprised. I got, Arabic and whatever Arabic language it was. I don't give a shit. I ain't trying to be politically correct here. Whatever Middle Eastern language that was. They had that written up there. They had Chinese. They even had Polish. And I think they even had Korean, but they had no Japanese available. There was no, Japanese translation for you. And so, anyway, it forces you to learn because you have no option. Nobody's going to try to speak to you in Japanese in the US. But in Japan, most people are going to try to speak to you in English, or they'll speak to you in super difficult Japanese, in which if you don't speak a lick of Japanese, you're not going to suddenly learn because everybody's talking to you in nonstop long professional sentences. That's not the way that learning a language works for most people. So anyway, back on subject. Stop oversimplifying that. You had the time and or money. You were a big enough weeb. You didn't have a job for some period of time. You took the time to cram and study, or maybe you saved the money to do it, but everybody's not you. Not to mention, while you are bashing and blaming this dude, I think you need to look back at your old posts because I'm sorry, man, but I fully remember seeing several posts from you talking about your situation. And not to say that because you have a bad situation, you can't speak on anybody else's. I mean, that is literally a similar situation to your own. Your marriage is effed up. And now, even although you actually probably should be going through a divorce, you're kicking somebody while he's already down. He's already going through a divorce. I'm sure life is already hard enough for him. He doesn't need you to add to it. Okay? That's all I'm trying to say. I don't know this man. He may be a jerk. He may be a racist, he may be an a-hole, but I'm just going based off of what I'm reading and what he wrote. And it honestly, as a mother, as a wife, it broke my heart because I cannot imagine being in his situation. That is overwhelming and stressful. I am no sucker or dummy. Yes, I agree. He likely could have, may have, done things to contribute to the problem. I'm not saying he's an angel or he's a saint, but let's stop pretending like the Japanese spouse in this scenario is either. She's also not a saint. I don't care what her reasoning is. The fact that she's already conditioned the kids to not know English for these years is a problem. The problem is also that he didn't nip that in the bud when it first happened. But then again, I'm not surprised because I'm gonna keep it real. I don't know what happens with you all, but I see this with black guys too. But with both white and black men, it's like they, specifically Americans, let me get on them in particular. When they come to Japan, it's like their brains stop working. They swear that their biggest fear is gold diggers, right? In the US. But then it's like you all come here and you all just let these girls play game on you. So I'm going, get on y'all a little bit too. And what I mean by that is I see guys here, they're like fall for the, oh, like she has to put the loan in her name or that has to be put in her name or the business in her name. Yeah, that's not the way that that works. She's lying to you. You guys are falling for it. But okay, sure. Now, let's put this in reverse. Now, granted, you're going to say, oh, we're both Americans. I wouldn't say that. I just can't see you all doing that in reverse. You would not allow your American girlfriend or wife to put that in her name. How do you do it when you come to Japan? I will be honest, if you're married, technically it don't really matter whose name it's in. Because as long as you got it after you were married, it's both of you all's property anyway. So I'm going to kind of speak out of both sides of my mouth. But I see this with other smaller things too. With finances, for example. There have been people that have recognized they're just going to have to lose their whole business because basically they have it set up where it looks like the business is hers and he just got part of it because they got married. I've read all type of crazy stories like that. I ain't gonna get into people's business, kick them while they're already down. Not the purpose in this. I'm really just talking about the issue at hand. The same thing else with the girl I was talking about. I'm not really talking about her. There's a lesson in this. I'm asking, can we please stop doing this? Can we all band together? The Japanese band together. When they get accused of something, they want to remind you that is that person and not all of us. They do not condone whatever happened. But when we do something wrong, we immediately try to single out, oh, that wasn't American. Oh, that was, no, we're all foreigners. Can we stop with that shit? I mean, look, the best way I can see it is, I don't agree with everything they do. And I'm not going to say we treat them like angels either, but let's keep it real. It's kind of a matter of black people reciprocating how they got treated. Asian Americans, they stick together. Now, they have their little turmoil issues within the community, I know, but overall, they do. Now, you go to their respective countries, the Chinese, Koreans, and Japanese do not get along. But in the US, they all use the blanketed term Asian. They feel proud when they see an Asian person winning, being the first, whatever, just like how black people do. As foreigners of all races, we don't do that in Japan. It's every man or every country for himself, which is stupid because at the end of the day, like I said before, all they see is foreigner, especially if you are a white or black foreigner. You are all lumped together. The Japanese separate foreigners like this: Africans, Americans, Chinese, Korean. And if you really want to get more specific, sometimes Vietnamese, Filipino. That's as far as it goes. They do not say, oh, I like Germans, but I hate French, or, oh, I like, and they can't tell y'all niggas apart anyway. So, anyway, I can ramble about this forever. I just want to say to you all, it's oversimplifying the problem. The issue is not just a matter of you not knowing Japanese. The issue is them not knowing English, them not caring, and them being a crappy partner that you all are excusing by saying, well, you didn't learn Japanese. I mean, look at it this way. Imagine if you, let me put this into female terms that you women can understand how dumb this sounded. Not that it's just women doing this. Men do this all the. I actually read a Reddit post, I'm sure you can still find it, where somebody was trying to basically break down the problem with marriages being that it was a lack of people, a lack of foreigners having a lack of their Japanese ability. So this is not the first person I've seen do this. I've seen it other places, and men do it more than women. I'm specifically commenting on this post because it shocked me. Because the people that were getting on them, like, you got problems that you were just sharing a few days ago. But okay. So, and again, it's not the people, it's the issue at hand. This has been going on for years. It's not brand new. Please don't send any hate to these people, their posts, etc. That is not my purpose. But this guy that made that post, it's like, that's not the issue. And like I said, putting it into female terms, that would be the equivalent of saying you're telling somebody that, you got hard, right? Somebody forced you to do things as a woman, right? And then the person asking you says, not what you're thinking, not what clothes are you wearing, but instead, do you know how to speak Japanese? And you respond, no, I don't. Well, that's the reason why they did it. They didn't know you were telling them to stop. It's because you don't speak Japanese. If you spoke Japanese fluently, that would have never happened. As if he cannot see your body language. As if he cannot understand what stop means in English. Or see your hand up. Or that you're crying, or whatever the case happens to be. Please don't play games with me right now. Okay, now you understand how frustrated that would make you if somebody said that to you or somebody else. So then why do you think that becomes a pass for relationship stuff? Are Japanese people retarded and incapable of understanding what it means to be married to a foreigner? Because it seems like anytime they do something wrong, we gotta treat them like they're mentally retarded or something. I'm just keeping it real. Why do they get this excuse to get by with everything? As if they're not intelligent people. Because it's funny, like Japan gets to be treated like a first world country, but then it can also dive back into the, we're still third world, prior to the war type of mentality. So hear me out. Anytime they do something wrong, an excuse is made. They do something right, they're powerful, they're strong, yep, it's the good old Japanese. I'm just curious. Like, can somebody please explain that to me? So, I opened up that can of worms. Y'all gonna get mad, get in your feelings. I said what I had to say, but again, two things can be true at the same time. But the problem is, it's not a matter of two things being true. That is an irrelevant topic. You being art has nothing to do with your language ability. Likewise, you going through your marital issues, while that can contribute to it, that has nothing to do with that. Those problems existed and would have before or after, and even if they would not have, okay, that's their fault for choosing to be with somebody that doesn't speak the language. So I'm done. Back to the video.
Or in this circumstance, you think that, because he's a man, he's immediately at fault or whatever? And then not just that, what does him knowing Japanese have to do with the fact that she's clearly being a bitch? She's refusing to talk to him. Refusing to, make plans for getting a divorce or anything else. There's no such thing as shared custody. In Japan, only one parent gets custody. And it's normally the woman. I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like that's the way it should be. I feel like women are the ones who should have the kids. We're the ones that carry them. We're the ones who push them out. And to be honest, we're the nurturers. That's literally our job. And nowadays, shoot, you got women working. So we are doing the same thing that men do. Don't get me wrong, you still do need two parents. But if I got to choose between my mom and my daddy, I'm definitely going to choose my mama. So, again, maybe I'm biased because I'm a woman, but I'm keeping it real. Even y'all red pill meal, y'all say this all the time. Women are supposed to be nurturing, aren't they? Okay, we're the ones that normally take care of the kids in a normal marriage to begin with. We're the ones that feed them. We're the ones that teach them. Your job is just to bring in the money for the most part. So again, yes, I understand. Your father teaches you shit too. My parents are married, FYI. I know. I'm just saying that, overall, your mother, for most people in normal marriages, not y'all that got y'all weird ass shit where your daddy took care of you or you got a stay at home dad situation. I'm talking about that type of shit. I'm talking about normal households. And my household was anything but normal, but I will say that at least I know my daddy. So, and my parents were legally married prior to me getting married. So, to me getting married. That too, but they were illegally married prior to me being born. So, crap, I got some skin outside my nail. It hurts. Okay, but anyway, yeah. That's all I want to say. Just blew my mind. And I got pissed off. And I almost want to say it. I was still keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. But I was thinking, I just made a video about this heifer situation to warn people not to end up like this person. And then here you go. You comment on somebody else's situation that's not quite exactly similar to yours. Because, see, they're trying to get a divorce. You are literally just bitching about the fact that you married a loser. And it's like, you knew he was a loser when you first met him. And you were too obsessed with the fact, oh my God, I found a Japanese guy. I don't know if it was a fetish thing or you were just desperate to get married because of your age. Or you just thought it was cool because you had a lot in common. And you did that. You saw you had a lot in common. You got pregnant, and I think not just once, I think twice if I recall, but at least once. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, now you've gotten on here and shared your problems several different times. And if anybody said anything even remotely close to what you said, it was like, oh, well, how do we know that, your husband's bad finances? Maybe you're the one blowing all the money on shopping sprees and eating because you're fat. Now that would have hurt your feelings, right? You wouldn't want to hear that, right? So why the fuck would you think that's okay to say to a man that's going through a divorce at this time? You don't know him. He came off as a nice guy. I don't know the whole story. None of us do. But going based off of what he said, that's the only job that we have here. If he alluded to the fact that he might have been abusing and neglecting his wife, then fine. But in this case, his whole long ass post that he had wrote, nothing in it alluded to the fact that there was any, wrongdoing, foul play on his end. I will admit, fine, excuse me, that. Anyway, sorry. I will admit, I'll be real with you. Yes, I do think that he should have taken the effort to learn Japanese. I think that he was stupid for being so trusting with his wife and not realizing that not being able to communicate with your children is going to cause problems. Like, how are you living? What? I understand. I have 1,000,001 questions too. And so don't get me wrong, to my understanding, the kids do speak Japanese, but it's not their preferred language and they don't speak it as well. I mean, you know what I mean? They do speak English and they don't speak it as well as Japanese. I'm assuming. I don't know all the details. I don't really care to know. It's none of my damn business. But I'm just saying, like, this is my takeaway from the whole thing. If you don't have nothing nice to say to somebody's situation, keep it to yourself. There is absolutely no reason. Like, I don't even do those. See, y'all can bitch with me, whatever I say, how I talk, whatever, how I give advice. But you will never see me, like, go underneath somebody's post, go underneath somebody's video, and bitch about their situation. Because even, like, back in the times I wanted to do that, like, back when I was a teenager, whatever, elementary school, and that was never really my personality. But even, like, if I thought to do it, I always knew from a young age, and I've learned it even more so as I've gotten older. Life will humble you. Every time, and some of y'all need to learn that too on my channel right now. Every time you think, oh, I would never do this, whatever, blah, 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 you will find yourself or someone that you love, if not both of you, in a similar situation. And you will regret what you said, you will regret what you thought, and you will realize how stupid you were for being judgmental towards other people. And one of the biggest things that I think of, or two biggest things, is being a baby mama, getting an STD, and number 3, I said 2. That's one more. Crap, I'm about to say. Getting an STD, being a baby mama. Shit, it was a third one that I wanted to say. Damn. Okay, no, it goes back to the same thing. And teen pregnancy is what I think of. Because, see, people are really judgmental, especially, like, back in the day, even more so, about people, getting pregnant when they're really young, like, high school, even junior high school, etc. Which I understand it. I get it. But at the same time, it's like, okay, now, if it's your child, if it's you, someone close to you that you want people to respect them. And to be honest, I've always seen it that way, even when I was a teenager myself, and before then. Because it takes a lot for you to be selfless and not selfish, like most of these people that are just getting an abortion, and actually choose to raise your child and or give your child up for adoption. Because contrary to all of these, stories about this, that, and the other, there are plenty of people, I can't say most or half or what the percentage is, that have been adopted. I know tons of them myself, and they're grateful for their adoptive family. And beyond that, even if everything is crap for you during your childhood, you become an adult, and you have freedom, and you can live a good life for yourself. That's the reality to that. But I ain't finna get into that. This is not a political video, so please shut the fuck up. I don't care about you feminists. I don't care that you had 12 abortions before you were 20. That's none of my damn business. I don't give a shit. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way, my purpose in saying this is, it's easy to judge until you go through the same situation. And in this case, you are literally, pot calling the kettle black. You are literally talking about somebody in a bad marriage just like how you are. So what the fuck are you doing talking about this? What an idiot. Not to mention, neither of you bitches can speak Japanese fluently. So why the fuck are either of you talking about his Japanese language ability? Do you feel better because you've been in Japan for less time than him? You've still been here just as long as I have, which means that you are capable of being fluent in Japanese. That's what I was trying to get at earlier. If I really wanted to study it seriously, I should already be, like, very fluent, like, I wouldn't say necessarily native level, but very, very, very fluent in Japanese. I've been here for 6+ years. This is now my 7th year. I'm going into it. I don't know as much as I should. You could pull somebody out of a language school that's been studying Japanese for about 2 to 3 years, and they will know double what I do. I'm honest, though. How are you laughing at somebody that's literally in the same... Not even laughing, but, just poking holes in their theory and what they're saying, essentially. Not theory, but, poking holes in their story. Oh, well, maybe she doesn't want to talk to you because you've been a bad husband neglecting her for the past 20x years. You were too lazy or too whatever. Ma'am, he fucking gave her money. He gave her a business. And clearly she loves it, which is why she's not ready to give it back. She's not fulfilling her duties as his wife. But she is happily taking the money and business that he stupidly, trustingly put in her name for the purpose of making it easy. How about we talk about that side of it? I would love to be on women's side here for this, but I gotta keep it real. Let's call it, spade a spade. Call it off what it is. She used him. I don't care if he cheated on her. What she's doing at this point is just pure evil. She's purposefully put him in a position where he's isolated from his children, because keep in mind, his goal was to try to maintain the kids being bilingual, which would have been beneficial for them going to school. I don't even know why she would do that. That's how you know that she had a sinister plan all along. Now, the kids, I think, are like in high school and nearly grown or whatever, so there's a little bit of good to the situation, because even worse people that, they get split up and, the mom runs off with the kids when they're young, because they'll forget their father. They won't know the whole truth of what really happened. These kids are old enough to understand what's going on for the most part. So I don't know all the details to it. I'm not gonna pretend like I do. But in a nutshell, it just made me so upset. I'm like, you are literally on your way to being in the same situation. And when that happens to you, because Todd is already showing you, he don't feel like he's responsible for your kids. And when I say your kids, I mean both of you all's kids. But he treating you like it's just yours. And you bitching online and crying about how your bills and shit ain't been being paid. And for some reason you think you can poke at this dude talking about how he's worried about, his relationship with his wife and about the possibility of getting a divorce, and how he wants one, but he doesn't want to run off with his business and the kids, whatever. Look, he didn't neglect her too much. He gave her a whole damn business, okay? Like, look, you wish your man did. So, like I said, I don't know either of these people personally, but it just blows my mind that people will join forums, join groups that are made to help people that live here. And instead of being like, thinking to the whole, wow, what a bad situation, what a stupid whatever, you have the audacity to leave a comment being hurtful, hateful, not helping the situation, and then you're dumb enough to post your problems in another forum. And let me also add, that's how I knew about it. I saw this person post their problems elsewhere. And I'm like, ma'am, what? Are you serious right now? Like, at least if you're gonna talk shit, use a fake account, like how the people do on my YouTube channel. Look, the people that talk shit to me, they never have their own videos on their channel. They never have a profile picture. It's always the person with the anime profile picture, with just a little letter, the stupid, gag username, whatever. It's never somebody serious, because, see, they know if you were to show your face, I would go in on you. If you had videos and content, I would go to your channel, look at it, say, give my own 2 cents on it. But they're cowards. They would never do that. That's what you should have done. At least made an anonymous post. But whatever. Like I said, it ain't none of my business. But I'm just saying, please don't be like these people. So many hypocritical people. And even for the other girl too, like I get it, fine, at least she ain't post her business like that. But even for her, oftentimes see her comment trying to help people with stuff. But at the same time, it's like, okay, nobody wants a smart ass when they're in a stressful situation like this. You don't even know if he is at fault. But let's say that he is. Okay, this is a group for foreigners, alright? And you should know this because you're a minority yourself. So I would think that you would understand, having a unity, a community, sticking together, trying to help each other. Why are you jumping on the Japanese person's side? But then again, I should have guessed it because you're a fucking weeb with an anime profile picture. I should have known. I just don't understand that. Why join a group for foreigners when you're anti-foreigner? Literally, anytime a foreigner has a problem. Oh, I went to a restaurant in Japan and there was a roach in my water. Well, maybe there was a roach in your water because you went to the bathroom for too long and they were cleaning up and a roach happened to fall off of their desk. I'm like, it's just making all type of little bullshit. And it's like, okay, ma'am, I get it. You like Japan. But can you stop kissing her ass and accept the fact, yes, this restaurant was dirty. They owe her money back. Well, why you gotta lie? Stop making up shit. We get it. You can love Japan and you can be honest with it. And the same thing goes with the people in your life. If you really love your friends, your family, you tell them the truth, right? Not because you want to hurt them, but because you want to help them, right? Why the fuck are you lying to people and getting defensive over it? And Japan would not do that for your ass. And all I'm gonna say is, she ain't white, the person I'm talking about, which is what shocks me even more. So, neither of them are, I might also add. So, again, ain't my business. I ain't got no skin in the game. I ain't going through a divorce, and I don't know any of these people. But I'm just saying to you all, one, be careful when you share your stories and advice online, because there's plenty of haters, stupid people lurking, people laughing at your situation, thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. Two, if you are someone leaving a hateful, ignorant, mean comment to somebody's personal situation, no matter how dumb it is, always remember, it's easy to judge from the outside looking in. Everything's 2020 clear, and you're like, oh, I would have never done it, right? And you probably have experience that taught you not to do it. You probably have people that loved you that told you not to do that. For example, when I look at these people that are married having these problems, most of them, they got married 15, 10, 20 years ago, before there was an explosion of weebs here in Japan. Everybody making YouTube content, everybody telling you what to avoid, what not to do, etc., myself included. And because of that, it's too late. They already made their mistakes, and now it's finally leading to a divorce. So a lot of what you think should have been common sense wasn't. Not to mention, there were also less ways of studying Japanese. There was less, there were less schools, there were less programs, there was less of a demand, there were less foreigners here, period. So everything that you think is common sense isn't common sense to someone else. And I recognize that every day I'm here in Japan. Because if you spend any amount of time, that's why I made some of the videos that I did. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen foreign women ask some of the stupidest questions in the world. I was talking to this guy, and after we had sex, I don't know what happened. Like, he stopped replying to my good morning messages, and it's been 3 months, and he finally said, good evening to me and asked me if I can meet him at 10:30 p.m. Ma'am, he's trying to fuck you. He doesn't like you. Like, come on, stupid question. But again, I have to remember, not everybody is smart enough to watch YouTube, do research. Not everybody cares for that. They go to TikTok, they watch 30-second videos, they just want to see Harajuku and the cool stuff, and then when they end up inside of fucked up situations, then they're like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do? And this is exactly why I said, I no longer waste my time replying to people's long-ass complicated problems. You pay me for that shit. If it's a general video I can make a video on, that's fine. But nope, I'm not gonna waste my time on that, because every time I do it, it's not worth it. I don't get shit from it. And most of these people have the audacity to be asking me questions. They're not even subscribed to me. And I'm like, that's the free part. So, I've had people be so petty after I answer their question. They're like even unfollow me on Instagram, whatever. It's like, oh, okay, like it's free to do, and I just help your ass out. So, alright, so that's why I stopped doing that. I said this a while ago, but just throwing that out there in case you're wondering, why did I start charging? It's a waste of my time, and on top of that, I find that people also oftentimes ask questions that I already answered before. So, for example, I already made a video talking about, dudes not replying to your messages here. Please don't ever ask me that question again. There's already a video for it. And if you don't know it, I understand. You're not going to look through 600 videos to find one answer. That's cool. I'll send you a link to it, but I'm not going to type your reply to that anymore. So, anyway... be careful who you're asking stuff to. When you have the option, please use anonymous. I do hate when people use anonymous, on Facebook, and I do hate when people, use fake spammy accounts or whatever to ask questions because they're afraid of you seeing the other questions they ask. And I don't normally go through all that, crap, trying to see what other questions they ask. That's doing too much. For example, on Reddit, etc. But I will say, beyond me, other people can be cruel. I never dox people. I never give their names. I don't. Not people that are asking questions or whatever, going through problems, etc. I don't do that. I respect that. And I know it takes a lot of guts. And I actually, even for the people that I feel like, it's dumb for them to share their information, I applaud them for the fact that they're actually brave enough to put their business out there publicly, because it is embarrassing, and it says a lot that you're willing to admit that you do need help instead of hiding behind an anonymous account. So actually, I changed my perspective on that too. But just be really careful, especially if you're a sensitive person, because you might think that because we're all foreigners here, everybody should be on your side and trying to help you, and assuming that you're the one on the right. More times often than not, foreigners will literally try to side with the Japanese person and assume that you're the big bad monster, even although most of us foreigners know there is literally a track record of Japanese girls stealing these white guys' bank accounts, stealing your business, stealing your house, stealing your kids, and blaming you and claiming that you were abusive, you were a bad father, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, the father hasn't even had a kiss in the past 10 years. He gave her all that he had. He was there being her biggest supporter, cheerleader, everything. It didn't matter what he did. Not to mention, I've even seen some pretty damn handsome men, and I'm like, she left you? What? There's whole documentaries here on YouTube for you all to watch. So That's all a whole other story. Let me also add, it happens to women too. Women do also get bamboozled by Japanese men. And in their case, it's normally the opposite situation. Not always, but most of the time. Normally when the father's the one that runs off with the child, it's normally a situation of the foreign woman using him for a visa, and or number two, she used him for his money. Again, there's a blurred line. I'm finna get into it for this video. It's the difference between dating a man of value, seriously, and marrying somebody solely because they have money. I talked about that inside another video, but I literally saw a post of a woman basically talking about how, she had a shitty ass husband. She knew that he was abusive. She knew that he was bad. She still got knocked up by him, still got married by him, had a baby, and then you realize, oh my god, he's gonna run off on my child. Help, what should I do? And again, I feel bad for her. I understand. Look, life is hard with me. I understand. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you willingly made poor decisions to secure a bag and a visa. Ma'am, why? Now, I ain't gonna leave a comment and judge her, and I ain't finna say her name. But I am being realistic. You see cases like this all the time. So if you are a foreigner planning to get married here, just make sure, you really check out who your partner is. See why their last relationships didn't work out. And look at any signs of abuse. Look at how they get angry. Look at how they handle disagreements, fights. Look at how they handle their finances. Look at how they get along with their family and their friends. Consider all of those things before you marry them and before you get pregnant by them. Because that is one thing that I will thank God for. He has spared me from that. Because let me tell you, if things happened the way that I wanted to, I would have already been pregnant by, an F-boy. My life would be ruined right now. And thankfully, things did not work out the way that I wanted it to. Because I was stupid back then. And so I'm telling you, somebody, I won't say somebody, most of these people are older than I am, and they make these, silly mistakes. But again, like how I said, when you get older, you realize, life humbles you. And on top of that, a lot of the reason why people make poor decisions, the poor mistakes, is because they don't have other people in their life to teach them what they were about to do, and or what they are doing is a dumb decision and a poor mistake to begin with. But I will say again, some people don't care about their bad decisions. They are simply looking out for themselves financially. Like I said, for a lot of these women that come across these guys that have money, want an exotic white girl. Like, for example, this is off subject, but I think about, JAL, Japanese Airlines, JAL as they call it, whatever the fuck. Worst air disaster, whatever, in the world. And if you look into that, you can look it up on Wiki. One of the women involved, I shared this on Patreon. I haven't made a video about it. I want to talk about it later on. But it was this white woman. Oh my god, this is off subject, but it blew my mind how people are literally both Japanese and foreigners. Even in the U.S., she was a British woman. And I'm sorry, in my opinion, I thought that she was average. Average to kind of cute. Ugly. Like, she was somewhere between cute to average-ish ugly, in my opinion. Her man was married. He was having an affair with her, and the crap excuse was his wife was basically brain dead. She had some sort of situation going on. And karma is a bee. He ended up dying inside of a plane crash. This is not the topic of this video, so I'll get on that in another video maybe in the future. But long story short, the purpose of me saying this. So, she did not care about the fact that this man was married. She did not care that this man was not going to, divorce his wife to marry her. She stupidly effed around with him. She stupidly had his baby, was pregnant with another one, and then when he dies in a freak accident in a plane crash, now we should feel sorry and sympathetic for you being a homewrecker? What? And that brings me to the next video I want to talk about later on. But I just want to say this is an example of that. People making poor decisions for money. Yes, money is important, but it makes me really sad when women are willing to do crap like that for the sake of having money. And again, that's for another video, but I'm just giving an example that I see this all the time with white women here in particular, that, a lot of Japanese guys like to date and or marry them because it's seen as, you're like a trophy wife. It's an exotic thing. Same thing happens in the U.S. with Latina, Asian girls, etc. You see it all the time there, where when black men get money, they get status, they marry these girls, and these girls divorce them so fast. As soon as they lose their money, they're quick to divorce them, take half of what they got, and move on to the type of man that they really want. And that ain't my problem either, because I'm not here to, support them. That they say all type of crap about us as black women, so I ain't finna talk on that. But I'm just saying, I see that here in Japan too. So please be careful with who you choose to marry and why, and think about why they're willing to marry you. And while yes, people can and do change after getting married, oftentimes they don't change that damn much. You simply missed out on a lot of clear cues, signs and hints that this was a bad person. I think about myself. I remember, 2 years ago that I dated Jimbe. Yes, I know he catching strays still. I'm not gonna say anything about him looks wise, okay? I'm not gonna say that. But what I will say is, one of the main reasons why I decided to leave him was I heard him talking crap about me on the phone, was complaining to his friend about me, telling my business. And I was thinking to myself, you're talking about me as your girlfriend, You want to marry me more. Like, I don't even really want to get married to this dude. I'm literally just dating him. Sorry, just so you can help me out. And so you're literally complaining to your best friend about me on the phone in Japanese while you think I'm taking a nap, and you thought that I couldn't hear you and I couldn't understand because, to your knowledge, I can't speak Japanese. That was a huge red flag to me. Like, we're not even married yet. I just met you and you're already doing like petty shit like this. And I get it, it's your friend, you know, whatever. But I'm a firm believer in this. You keep your super personal business, especially like fights and arguments, and we didn't even really have a fight or argument. You keep that between you and your partner. Because the moment that you tell your family and your friends, they will never forget it. They won't forgive you. They will see you differently. Now, some people's families are different. But at the end of the day, they'll always remember what you did and what you're capable of doing. Now, if it's really important, you know, they're physically hurting you or whatever, then fine, by all means, yes, for your own safety, so that they can know, should you come up dead, missing, whatever, that, you know, he was capable of harming you. However, if it's something stupid, like, for example, I don't know, like, this isn't a stupid example, but let me give you a good example of something that you might want to share. You suspect that, you know, your partner might be cheating with your next door neighbor, or, you know, whatever else. And let's say that you end up being wrong. He's not cheating. Well, guess what? Now your family's gonna think that you're married to a cheater. I know I definitely did that before with, you know, a previous relationship. Because I told my friends what somebody did, it changed their perspective of them. When you get mad, talk about how you want to get a divorce, keep it to yourself, because more than likely you're not going to get a divorce. And I'll be honest, same thing goes for cheating, like full-on cheating too. This is a controversial topic, but I'm just keeping it real with you. Unless you know for certain you plan to leave your partner, keep it to yourself, because people will judge you for choosing to stay. Just being real. So that's a whole nother story. Not gonna get into that. And no, I ain't talking about myself, because I know y'all can't wait to try to fish around and find problems with my marriage. Like I said, I ain't saying my life is perfect or that my marriage is. That is not the purpose in this video. I'm simply saying I wish people would recognize, just like how they're going through this problem, you can go through the same thing. And on top of that, you just admitted that you are. So why are you under his comment section leaving unnecessary comments? Things, I mean, they weren't really hating on him, but they were trying to get you to see another perspective that maybe you're the problem, basically. And instead of talking about the fact that, you know, his wife was trying to steal everything he worked for, his assets and their kids, they were focused on the fact, well, why don't you speak Japanese? You've been here for X amount of time. Okay. So, whatever. Again, I'll leave that alone. Don't send any hate to these people if you know them in real life. Leave it alone. If you're here, hey, I said it how it is. That's how I felt when I read your comment. I felt that it was ignorant and insensitive. And even for me, when I made my video, I purposely didn't say your name, and I kind of changed the story a little bit so people wouldn't put two and two together. And nobody did. Nobody knows talking about you. Because I did it that way. And I always do that with my stories, because I want to make sure, I won't say I twisted it, but rather I didn't make it where it was just about you. I talked about different scenarios of people that I've seen, because I didn't want it to be focused on this one person, because my goal is not to attack you in your situation. I feel sorry for you. So I was shocked that you don't have the same empathy that you wanted other people to have for you, for this person. And you also don't speak Japanese completely fluently. And like I said, we could be ignorant towards you and be like, okay, why you marry a bum? Did you know he ain't having a savings account before you married him? Did you know you couldn't afford, you know, to pay for your child's tuition? Like, did you know all these different things? Oh, I'm pretty sure you didn't. You fat, you still eating. And maybe the reason why your man ain't got money is because you eating all the damn food. You eating it all. You wouldn't like that, right? See how I'm speculating and making up scenarios in my mind as to what could be the problem? You're doing the exact same thing. And like I said, the other big difference is, at least he's trying to figure out how to get a divorce. You're stupidly still gonna stay with your man, alright? Okay, so shut the fuck up. That's it. I'm done. So anyway, give me your 2 cents. Please leave a comment down below. What do you think about the situation? Do you think that I'm in the right? Am I in the wrong? Do you think that what she said is a good point? You know, he's been there for X amount of years. He should speak Japanese. Maybe he's the reason why they're getting a divorce. So I feel like, this is how I see it. Let me add this in. I feel like, it doesn't matter what country you're from, but we're talking about Japan. For the Japanese partner, you knew who you married, just like how they did when you signed up for this. You knew that your partner didn't know Japanese at your level. You know that your partner is a foreigner, and they may think differently, they may eat different food, they may have a different religion, different culture, etc. And if you are not okay with that, then you knew not to marry them. So I feel like that argument is dismissed automatically. So let me just say that before I let you guys say what you want to say in the comment section, because I feel like, you know, you knew who you married. For example, if my husband were to come to me and be like, oh, you know, Ren, I want to get a divorce because you can't speak, you know, you can't speak, read, and write Japanese at a native level, and, you know, we've been together for, I don't know, 2-3 years, whatever. my feelings will be hurt. Like, well, like, you knew this when we got married. That sounds stupid, right? They weren't just married for a couple of years. You feel this way 2-3 decades later? And how is this representative of what he is as a husband, as a father? He's clearly taking better care of his wife than your husband is of you. You over here struggling to pay your bills and crying about it on online forums and shit. I'm sorry to go in on you, but I gotta keep it real. Like, do you see how hypocritical you're being right now? Like, am I imagining things? Like, what? Like, I couldn't believe that was you. So, and again, like I said, your partner understands what they're signing up for. That they're not gonna have a traditional marriage by being married to a foreigner. And if they don't and didn't understand it, that's their fault, not yours. She made stress for herself, and she was the lazy one. She refused to keep up the English in the house. So how was that his fault? It'd be different if he said that he quit taking Japanese classes because he got tired of it. Which maybe he did say that too, but again, okay, that's irrelevant. She's trying to steal his money, take the kids. How is she not in the wrong? Come on. Whatever, I'm done. Anyway, leave your 2 cents down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. As always, I'd appreciate if you follow me on social media. All of my accounts are in the description box down below and at the end of this video. I make videos talking about everything in Japan. I have tons of playlists on working, studying, dating, living in Japan. Please check out my YouTube channel's homepage. I would also appreciate it if you would follow me, if you support me on Patreon for $5 per month. I upload videos every single month talking about my personal life in Japan. It's $5, so please consider signing up. You'll get instant access to over 150 videos there. There's tons of journals with me just doing rants, talking about my life there. So if you missed those type of videos, that's where they are. And again, it does help me out as a creator. It helps support my channel. So that's all for now. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for watching, and I hope you'll watch another video. Bye.